So there will be a break, a little break of a few minutes or seconds. So the link is copied, and I am sharing this link with my students so they can click this link and come up. So students, click this link. If you click the link, you will be able to see me live on YouTube. So anybody found it? Okay, 4 people are present. They are watching, and you people can write in the comment section as well. Like if I write here to invite your attention, who is present, you can give an answer here, and this chat will remain available to you people whenever you will connect with the YouTube in order to watch this lecture. It will be saved on YouTube. So your chat will be available, but unless you people give me a response in the chat section that you people are available and you are getting my voice quite clear and you are getting this voice, picture also very clear, I cannot start. So I'm waiting for your response in the chat section. There's a box which shows chat. You may go for that box and write your presence there. All right. Okay. Now at least one student, Mariam, she has shared. And Mariam, can you tell me, are you listening to my voice very clear? And my picture, though not so beautiful, but still is being watched by you, possibly, okay? That's nice. So now we can start with the, small instruction guide on how to prepare your theoretical framework in order to get guidance how to write a literature review. I have already recorded 3 videos on literature review. So if you visit my channel, this one on which you are watching me live, you people can receive 3 videos there. This video is one, but it is in 3 parts in order to know, what is literature review. So you can have a good idea from there what is literature review. Here, I shall be briefly, first of all, telling you people how you should write your theoretical framework, and after that, I may be able to answer your questions as well. The questions which you will upload in the chat section. In order to keep my throat wet, I need these types of tablets. I have just freed myself from the Namal University lecture of 2 hours that was on Google Meet, and now just after ending that, I'm once again here, so I'm feeling a little bit itchy throat. So let us have a start. Well, you must understand that there are 2 terms. One is theoretical framework, other is conceptual framework. 2 are quite different from each other. First, let us have a brief talk about conceptual framework. When you people have decided about the topic of your research and you have written your literature review as well, at that time you need a conceptual framework to write in the 3rd chapter. Conceptual framework is based on the concepts which different theorists have given, not researchers, but the theorists have given on the topic. For example, if we are using a topic of, representations of resisting women or resilient women in post-colonial literature, this is the topic, and it will be we shall be looking and searching for this topic. Who are the people who have talked about that? For example, Edward Said has talked about that. Chandra Mohanty has talked about that. Then there are so many other people, even Dr. Zia has talked about that. So different concepts are given by different people about this topic. Same is the case with any other topic. For example, if the topic is going to be quite different from that, say the male subjectivity or slavery in literature, or it can be the African cultural comments in any part of literature, whatever the topic we have chosen or whatever the literature review we have developed, we shall go online or go to a library in order to find what people have said about that, what theorists have said about that, what philosophers have said about that. So we need a minimum of 3 to 4 or 5 philosophers who have said something about our topic. And then we should mention, not by copying their material, but by understanding what one has said about that. 5 to 6, maybe 5 to 6 paragraphs about the theoretical people who are saying something about our topic may be written. And this will be the conceptual framework. After that, we need to start with the theoretical framework. We may be selecting out of these 5, 6 theorists, which theorist, for example, is going to be very close to our research or whose theory we can possibly use. We will take one out of these 5 and then discuss his theory in detail, what he is saying. And the way of discussion of his theory is not simply copying the material of that theorist, but to understand what point of view that theorist has about something special. For example, there is a concept of Orientalism, and then there is a concept of New Orientalism. If somebody has this topic, then definitely we need to talk about different philosophers who have said that powerful is on the one hand and less powerful is on the other hand. Some philosophers possibly might say that colonized subject is on the one hand and colonizer subject is on the other hand. Similarly, we can go to Lacan as well, where the mirror stage has been talked about by him. We can also take the help of Foucault, for example, who has also talked about the power and knowledge and something like that. And then Derrida as well, who talks with reference to the language. So if we collect these 4 or 5 theorists and write about what is the weaker group and what is the power group, or we can take in terms of us and other as well. We can also take the opinion of anyone who is, talking about someone who is less powerful and then more powerful, someone who is having a voice and someone who is not having a voice. For example, Gayatri Spivak has talked about such things as well. And then post-colonial theory itself is the very representation of the voice of the people who are living in the formerly colonized countries. The writers are giving voice to them. Writers themselves are the voice. So there are a number of people who might have talked about Oriental or what is an Orient and what is an Occident. So Edward Said's main theory can be discussed by many. When we bring in order to talk about these things, 5 to 6 kind of theories, that is our conceptual framework. And out of this, for example, if we want to have just one theorist which we want to use, that possibly may be Edward Said, we may be pulling it from there and saying that he's going to be the one on which our theoretical framework will rest. Now, how to write this theoretical framework? Take that page, take that chapter where the concept of Orient is talked about. I'm talking with reference to Edward Said. But if you are using feminism, for example, one of my student who is possibly present or not, she is using hardcore feminist trends. I mean the hardliner feminist. I mean the radical feminist. She is using this one. And radical feminism has been talked with other waves of feminism as well. Now she needs to take one theorist who talks about the radical feminism. And that theorist may be writing a book, maybe writing a paper, maybe writing an essay. Like Edward Said, he has written one very large book on Orientalism, and he's also talked about culture and other things he's talking about. So in this way, the most relevant pages or passages which are relevant to your research may be taken out, understood, read out again and again. And here you need to form out a viewpoint, what the writer, what the theorist is saying. What are you understanding? Describe that understanding in the same way as you have described the similar understanding in writing a literature review. But after describing the theory of that person, then you should make some points, 5 to 6 points. If possible, you can make 10 points even, if there are 10 points. Otherwise, you may be taking only 5 points, and these points you may write separately by saying, that these are the main significant points of the theory given by a particular theorist, for example, Edward Said, or for example, anybody who's your theorist, Foucault, for example, Derrida, for example, or anyone whom you are reading. There are plenty of theorists available. Even if you want on a lighter note, you can use Dr. Zia as also, because there are a number of research papers that I have written, and some of the things might have been established. I can just guess. And it is you people who need to say something about that. And then possibly one day your teacher's name may be written along with these great names. But the thing is far away. It's not yet possible. But still, you can make an effort. As Mudassar is right now watching this lecture, he is the one who will be one day writing a theory, and you people will be quoting that Mudassar has said this, etc. So after writing your understanding about the theory, you need to go back to the points. When you have made the points, then discuss these points with reference to your research by saying that these theoretical points are very much relevant to your research. So you will be using all of these, or 5 of these, or 3 of these in order to analyze the text which you have chosen in order to conduct research. That will become the theoretical framework, right? Keep the research question also in your mind, because research question also guides you what are you going to do. And if the question which you have asked, if this question is being answered, the why is being answered, the how is being answered by the particular theorist which you are using, then it will become also the part of the theoretical framework. So that is the basic difference between the conceptual framework and the theoretical framework. Yes, very important question. Mostly Nusrat has asked me, and then other people are asking that we have a book, for example. Raj is all the time asking, I have a complete book of the theorist. How can I use all that book? No, it's not the case at all. Though, for the sake of knowledge, all the books should be read. But in order to employ it or use it in your theoretical framework, you need to look at the contents of the book, or the contents of any research thesis, or the content of any theory which any philosopher has propounded. Go to the content and see which chapter is very close to your topic. Read that chapter carefully. And sometimes it can happen that one chapter may be of 20 pages or 30 pages, but the relevant thing which is very close to you, that is only on one page. For example, one of my students is working on weighting and migration and the effect of that weighting. The whole book is written on the effect of migration and weighting. Research papers are written. Now, it doesn't mean that she will be using all the book. No, she has to go to that chapter because her thesis is on the effects of weighting. What are the psychological effects? What are the social effects? Or what are the economic effects, for example? So she needs to go only to those pages or to that chapter where this thing has been talked about in detail. And from there, she should develop her understanding, maybe based on 5 points or 10 points. And out of that also, she can manage by saying that she has adapted the model given by one person or that person. The researches in linguistics become very easy because linguistics have provided models, clear-cut models. They have mentioned the points. Sometimes the points may be 30 points, maybe 20 points. And on the basis of those models, research can be conducted. But these are fixed models. In the researches of literature, fixed models are not available. So one needs to read the theory and possibly listen to the videos available on YouTube or read the commentaries of the people which are available online on that particular theory to understand that. When you have understood that, definitely you can make points that this person is saying that and that. For example, I was talking about the weighting and its effects. If in that book my student finds out that weighting has got 3, 4, 5 effects for the migrants, say the migrant is waiting on the border, say the migrant is waiting on the traveling situation, he's waiting on the clarification of the papers, he's waiting here and there and whatever is facing, and then the results are mentioned there. These things possibly can become the view in order to mention everything, in order to write the theoretical framework. So my understanding is that when you are making a theoretical framework, you should go forward and look at the contents of the book, if you have a book, and then find out the chapter which is very close to your work, and then find out the pages of that chapter which are even close to your very work. Read the points, the effects of those points, the reasons of those points, or the logicality of those points available. Then use these things in order to construct a point of view. No, it's not necessary that we may be making number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can write in a paragraph also that the purpose of the theorist is that, or the purpose, or the theorist is saying these things. And out of that, we can repeat and mention that these things we can use in order to analyze our text which has been given. So that is the way how to develop a theoretical framework. I can take the questions here also if some questions appear in the chat section. Here is Mudassar. He has put one question possibly. He says that, sir, please suggest a comprehensive book about research methods. Well, I have many books on that. The names I cannot recall at this moment. I shall be sending you some of the names, which are student-oriented books, and they provide very good framework for developing the research method. That I used to teach when PhD classes were taking place in BZU, and I taught this advanced research method. So I shall be sharing some of the books with that. How to develop a questionnaire, and then it is how to develop an interview, and how to develop other things. But these type of things are very little and rare in literature. In literature, you need a philosophy, you need a theory in order to apply and use that. In order to collect information. So library research, basically, it becomes at that time, unless it's a field research. So therefore, for Mudassar, a few names I shall be suggesting. Any other questions, people? Write in the comment section and I can answer that. Otherwise, I have clearly talked about what is conceptual framework, how to develop that, and what is theoretical framework, and how to develop that with examples as well. Yes, I'm waiting for any of the questions, please. Write in the chat section. No one is writing any question. Neither is Raj writing, nor is Nusrat writing, nor is Sadia writing. And even there is Irfan Afzal, my lost student, who has never got any of the papers checked by me. He is also not writing anything, and even Mariam Manzoor, who is asking question on WhatsApp again and again. So this is what you should do, because instead of asking individual people, I think it better that we should arrange live meetings on YouTube, maybe on Google Zoom sometime, in order to talk and discuss the things which are very important with respect to research. And now outside a storm is also blowing. And that storm has opened the door of my room as if some genie has opened the door. But still, I'm not getting the questions. Nusrat has put a question, sir, what should be the length of theoretical framework? This question has been asked by a number of students, and I would say there is no determined length of the theoretical framework. Actually, it depends on the theory which you are using. If it can be explained just in 1 page or 2 pages, it's quite sufficient. Yes, you must bring out the points out of that and then relate these points with your text. And after that, describe how you are going to do that. And then you can also talk a little bit about the timetable, where and when you will be using all that. I mean, a research methodology may be added to that. So in that way, the length will be automatically determined. There's no written rule for making the length. It could be 5 pages, it could be 10 pages at the maximum, but the theory has to be talked about in detail. So that was Mrs.'s question. And here is Mavish's question. She says, sir, we have to talk theoretical and conceptual framework side by side. No. First, you need to write conceptual framework. I mean, the opinion of minimum 5 people, or maybe if you don't have 5 people, maybe we can talk about 4 people. Very briefly, just in 1 paragraph, one theorist should be talked about. That he says one thing about your topic, about your angle of research, about your direction of research. What are the people saying? So write 3, 4, 5 theorist opinion. I mean, just write 1 paragraph about one person. And after you have written it, you can say that this is my conceptual framework. And after that, out of these 5, one you are going to take in detail, whose theory you will be applying. At that time, it will begin the theoretical framework. Now you can also use 2 theorists and 2 philosophers also. By combining them together and by making it an adaptive model, you can do so, and you can write there that you have decided to use this part of the theory of this theorist at that part of the theory of that theorist. So in that way, it will be again your theoretical framework. So that is the way how to write the conceptual framework and then the theoretical framework. After Mavish, we have the question of Sadia Sultana. Sadia Sultana says, "Sir, references are necessary for it review." Yes, references are very much necessary everywhere. I mean, if you are using the opinion of anyone who is a researcher, who is theorist, who is philosopher, you need to properly refer it. And there are two ways I have already and always explained two ways to refer. One is, go give the reference in text reference. And the other reference is to give as a block quotation. And the third references are the end references. Now, if you are giving in text reference, that you can give after the inverted commas, not after the full stop, but after the inverted commas. And if you are talking indirectly, not using the direct words of the writer, then there is no need of inverted commas. But before the full stop, you need to refer to the writer and the year in which that work was produced, number one. And number two thing is that if you are using direct quotation from the writer's work, I mean in inverted commas, if some opinion you are using, then again you need to give reference properly, the name of the writer, comma, the year, and after that again comma, then write small p for the page and give the page number. Now, if you have read the book, if you have read the article, you can give the page number, otherwise you cannot give. Now, giving page number is also a very tricky business, Sadia, because we try to copy the reference which has been given by somebody else. Now, that somebody possibly had read a book or he has read something else. Now, we are the people, if we are reading the research paper of someone, we need to see what is the page number, not the page number of the article, but the page number of the journal, where the page number is. And for this purpose, you need to go to the original journal. From there, you can find out the page number. Only then you can do, otherwise it will be really very difficult issue. And somebody can challenge your references by saying that this thing is not given on the particular page which you have mentioned. So mentioning page number will be necessary. Then comes the block quotation. That is more than 3 lines and it is indented also. At the end of that, reference is a little bit different. When you are giving in-text reference at that time, before the full stop, you need to give the reference. But if you're giving a block quotation, indented quotation, then after the full stop, you need to give parenthesis. In that parenthesis, again, the same thing will be repeated. I mean, the writer, the year, and then the page number. But yes, if you have given the year in the beginning while you are introducing the block quotation, for example, if you say Ahmed 2009 says, no year is given here. Now at the end of the quotation, you should give only the page number, right? So that is the way to give the references, and it's very much necessary. I advise everyone to go through APA manual guide. Mariam Manzoor yesterday gave me the copy of some referencing material guideline. So everyone can go there asking Mariam Manzoor. She has known it, or rather you should practice it, and after that use it. There is a question from Mudassar. He says, "Sir, can we take 2 or more than 2 theorists for a single research?" I have talked about that. For a single research, you can take 2, even more than 2. That will be called adaptive model, by using a combination, a few points from this person, a few from that. As most of the time, discourse analysis people do. For example, they are using Fairclough also. They are using what they call him, Van Dyke, yes. And they are combining these two in order to create a theoretical framework. So it's possible to use 2. That will be called adaptive model of research. Mariam Manzoor's question is, "Sir, what length should be?" I have talked about the length. Sadia again writes a question, "We must take the theory that we are using in our talk." Yes, of course. That is mainly responsible in order to develop a theoretical framework. But then if you add other people, that will become the conceptual framework. Yes, in Pakistani universities, Irfan, I'm answering your question. In Pakistani universities, the norm is to use APA style. Though for literature, APA style is not recommended, MLA is recommended. But the issue is that there are very little number of people who are PhD in literature or MPhil in literature. More are the people because of BZU. It has created only linguistic researches, and so There's very little number of literary people. So they prefer this APA style. And then now we have more number of doctors which are in linguistics, and that is why APA style is okay. It's working everywhere. And the literary, I mean, the people who write in literature, they are also following the same. So there's no harm in using that. APA is just equal to MLA. The little bit differences are there. So it's all up to you. But your university, you must think what your university recommends as a type of style that should be used. And I think your university recommends APA style. So APA style should be used. Questions have ended. No more questions are coming up. If I can wait for a few minutes also once again in order to answer any more questions if you have. Anyone to answer me the question? I think when the storm has started to blow, it has taken the students also away. So I think it's better to stop here, and again we can have any live session in order to discuss these things. So I hope that some of you have possibly enjoyed that and possibly have understood something out of that. If you have understood, if you have enjoyed, then go ahead and click the subscribe button also. Keep watching, keep understanding, upload your questions. We can hold another session in order to discuss these things as well. So that's it from me for this day. Hopefully seeing you in some next session. Bye-bye.